Good morning, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today I am here with Coach Caren Fern, all the way from Toronto, Canada. She is our money mindset coach, and we are so excited to have her in the house. We just want to say a shout out to all of you watching on the replay. And for those of you watching live, we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend it with us and find out really critical information on how to run a healthy business. We are going to be taking our notes today, Coach. I want people to know who you are. You are an experienced businesswoman. You've run child care centers, cleaning businesses. You've been an icon in the world of fashion. I just want people to know that we are talking to someone who has worked across a number of industries, as well as an author and and a coach. So we just want to thank you for your time, and we're going to get this party started. What are we talking about today, Coach?
We're continuing the conversation that we started this month, and we're talking all this month on finding your passion. We're talking about we talked early about last week we talked about health, and today we're going to talk about community services in finding your
Okay.
passion. Sometimes we don't even realize how that part is so important, in finding your passion, because you can find it just anywhere, you know, and it's really good when if you're looking and you're not quite sure, it show up in different places. And in community service, it's really volunteer stuff. Most places can always use a volunteer, even if you can just give them 5 hours a week, if and because of the pandemic, it was hard for us to go in person, but still online, I'm not doing it this year, but I had myself sign up as a mentor a couple years ago, where I will young student that's coming out of college or university. I was on this board where they can send them to me, and I mentor them for 6 months to a year. And so, it was awesome. It was really an awesome thing to be able to do with the young minds. I usually forget to mention that. Yeah, I really likes, helping people who really want to get into what they want to get into. And business school, I've been there. It's great, but when you come out into the real world, it's scary, especially if you really haven't been in business any time in your life. So now here you are, decide to open your own business, and you're like, well, I learned this, but how do I actually apply it?
Yes.
And I had this one young lady, I remember once, she's doing bags, and she was so resistant getting it manufactured because she wanted to be handmade. And yes, that's great, but then she needed to widen her community search to get people in the community to help her, because if she was going to scale up, she couldn't. Well, she could, but she wouldn't scale as quickly as she thought she could if she was the only one making the bags. So, your community is important to you. And I told her the first great thing she did is reach out looking for a mentor. She didn't dwindle away and hide. So those sort of things are important. So without any further ado, we're going to talk about in the community, are you being organized? Are you an organized person? And do you love raising money for charity or charitable causes? And do you love volunteering, like the library, animal shelter, schools, and that sort of thing? Why this is important on finding your passion? You get to see how you behave with yourself in a community, with other people. When you volunteer, you're not a boss. Whomever you're volunteering with, decide the program and set it up, and it's training you. And how you behave within that program really tells you a lot about yourself and how you behave and what you really want to do. I volunteered at our public library all through my kids' school years. I volunteered at schools. I volunteered in home for the handicap. I volunteered at senior residence, and I really had a good time. The handicap homes, I lasted a full year. I stayed to my commitment for a year, but I never extended it because it was hard for me to watch those kids. Just it was a lot of pain, a lot of good times, and the community was really good, but it was hard for my heart. And so I knew when my year was up, I couldn't extend to the next year because I used to be just, it was hard for me to go there and do the work that I
Mm.
had to do. When I get there, it was fine, but just the seizures, and we were steady going to the hospital. We made a lot of time running to the hospital, and just my heart, I knew I needed to not be there. So therefore, I know my passion wouldn't be in anything in a medical field. So it just helps you learn about yourself while you're giving back.
And
So
where it's a fit for you.
yeah, yeah. Because sometimes we think we like something because we're on the outside looking in. But
Mhm.
once you get in, you realize,
This is a lot more complicated than I thought it was.
yes,
Or it really tugs at my heartstrings to the point where I can't function when I'm not volunteering
yes,
because it's constantly consuming what
yes.
I call emotional real estate in my mind.
That's what was happening to me. And,
Mm.
I was good. They wanted to give me a part time job.
Sure they did.
I was like, I can't do it. And the ladies were like, it pays really well. I was like, I can't do it. I was in college at the time. I was like, I can't do it. It's just, yeah. So you get to eliminate things that is not of you. And this already lets you see yourself and don't worry about what people think you should do or shouldn't do.
Say that
It's
again.
so that people don't get to tell you what you should or
Don't worry about what people think.
don't, because once they're finished telling you and helping you, then they walk away and do what they are going to do. So please don't do it.
Don't
Do
sign
you?
up for that. Don't let people verbally bully you into doing
Hmm.
the thing that they won't even do
Hmm.
themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Don't let them. Don't let them.
And let me ask you this, Coach. If you find yourself in that situation where you have been, I don't know, persuaded, I'll use that, that's a gentler term. You've been persuaded to volunteer and you find that it's too much for you. What should you do?
You should go to the coordinator and let them know. Give them 2 weeks notice and leave.
There you go. Thank you. Because I was going to say, you need to leave. You need,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
you're so much better at this. You need to call them up and say, I will not be there
Yes,
starting tomorrow. But
yes.
you say, give them 2 weeks. I'm like, no, because I'm protecting my mental health. I'm like, you know what? I just realized this is overwhelming. I can't take care of my kids. I can't take care of myself. I can't do the things I need to do to function in my own life because I'm so consumed with the emotional part of this volunteer job.
You are so right here. This was happening on the weekend when Paul asked me to help with homework. I was snapping at the kid. I know math wasn't his strong point. I know he needed me. He brought 3 friends over. I went ballistic on them. I was like, you brought me 3 other people to teach? I freaked out on those kids. And he's like, Mom, you
What's
always
going
say you
on?
don't mind helping people. Like, what's going
Hmm. And that's when the bells went off, right? Like, oh, I'm exhausted from this volunteer job. So we're saying don't be consumed by community service. Mark has a comment. He says you say something suddenly came up, then you move and change your name and phone number.
on?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
We used to
goodness.
tease kids and say, you're so ugly, your parents moved and didn't leave the address. Yes. Yes. Yes, Mark. You just tell them, hey, look, something came up. I won't be back. I
Yeah.
like it. But Mark, I think we're a little abrupt. Coach Caren is like, give them 2 weeks notice, like it's a job, you know. But if the job, any job or any business, if it's doing a job on you, you
Leave. You need to leave. You need to go. Like this, just know. way in staying. And people say, well, what do you have to line up? I'm like, nothing but leave. Because once you leave, you're going to find something. Once you leave, your mind is going to be clear enough to get you to the next place you're supposed to be. When God is moving you from where you are, he gives you little signs, and then he just throw the whole bus in front of your face. And he's like, bam. So you walk into the bus and you're like, holy shit. You know what I mean? And you're back because he's been telling you, he's been taught me. I didn't have a lot of jobs in my lifetime, but every job that I was supposed to leave, he would just nudge me. He would literally just nudge me. And when I don't pay close attention, bad things happen. So I learn over time, you know.
Well, I've had quite a few jobs in my youth. You know, once I got out of college, I didn't have as many, but you know, I've shipped shirts, scooped ice cream, worked in worked in a novelty store, like a 99-cent type
Yeah.
of store. I've done a lot of things: domestic work, iron shirts for
Right.
money. I mean, just things. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying that when you find something that is so draining,
You
you know,
leave.
you change people. It's
You
okay.
leave. Yeah, you leave. Scooping ice cream was the only job I think I had that I left after 2 weeks. And I didn't give notice. I just left. I just left. That little stealing guy, you know, he owned the company and he would come the cone cups and then he would put aside a few. And then when you go to work, he said to you, you had 2 ice cream short. I'm just going to take it out of your pay.
See, another way of not paying you.
Mhm.
No, I've never had that experience where the boss
So we
really
only lasted 2 weeks.
tried to jip me out of my money. You know,
I'm laughing because after the first week and he did that to me the second week, I was just giving away free ice cream to people. I'm like, well, if you're going to, I'll just give away ice cream. Like, okay.
okay, and we're going down this road.
I was in my 20s. I was young. Who cares?
You know, it reminds me of the story in the Bible where the guy knew he was going to get fired, so he called everybody in and had them pay half of what they owed the guy, and he wrote off their debt. You know, it's like I'm gonna make some friends if I'm leaving anyway.
Right?
I'm gonna build some equity in these friendships. Oh my gosh!
And you just
Uh,
you just leave and then you find wherever else you have to be. Because I left that job and it put so much fire back in me. You know, I started back my business. I got myself back on my train. It just moved me into bigger things.
There you go. Mark has a comment here for you. He says, I could write a book simply about horrific job experiences. I have had more than my share. Oh, really, Mark?
Oh.
Hmm. Okay, we'll see.
Horrible
Maybe something
employers.
else to go with that book. How to handle employment experiences.
Yeah, you putting it over nicely. Oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh.
I think some of us we have a PhD in leave.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
out.
yes. I have two sisters like those. Those two are the worst. They just walk out of jobs.
Mm.
They were just known for that. They just got a job, just walk out of it, and then walk into another job. They go. Those girls were. I used to say they were lucky, but they just wouldn't stand anything. Like if it's bothering them, they leave.
Will put up with
Yeah.
foolishness.
Once you call Lisa, where you have to ask her like where you working now because you know something is.
Wow.
Anywho,
Okay,
you
so
know,
let's talk about community service.
services, yes. And so we're talking about passion. And one of the things in a lot of community service, especially if you're in the charity department, then you're raising money, you know, you're raising funds, you're asking for money, you're looking for donation. That's a really great skill builder for people. Let me say across the board. If you're in business, you have to ask for the sale at some point. You got
Hmm.
to sell. The only way you stay in business is to keep marketing and selling. And marketing is so wide that it takes different forms. So if you're going to be in business, you got to sell. And even if you have a job, you're selling. You might not be selling directly, but your skill set and the things you're doing in the business is helping to, to make a sale at some point. So you're still selling. So in community, in the charter areas, you know, If you're the one that call in and begging for donation or sending out letters and so, pay attention to that skill that you're learning.
Mhm.
Use it. Organize yourself with what you're learning, because you can take it and use it for your now business or future business. Not everything that you learn right away you might use, but you can keep it and apply it when necessary,
Mm.
because there's nobody can beg for money like charity. There's nobody knows how to be a good, when you work in that department, you become a good sales rep. And you
Mhm.
need to become a good sales rep. It helps you with confidence. It helps you with, even if you're feeling shy, you put away that shy little girl or boy for a moment and you ask for the sale. It teaches you how to present yourself, you know. Um, Whether it's in your business, in your community, just talking to people, it really, really, truly helps you sell yourself. Also, when you're in those situations or you're volunteering somewhere, you also get to recognize different leadership styles. Maybe the person who is organizing this voluntary stuff is not really a good leader. And even though the first thing comes to mind is to condemn them, maybe you want to watch them and see how they can be improved.
Mhm.
And look for those spots, because that'll help you in your business of what not to do.
Oh.
It really shows you what not to do. I had a friend who opened a cleaning company, and the reason it did so well is because he used to go on Yelp and all the sites that have reviews that is not good,
Mhm.
and he would take those words and turn it around and tell the clients this is how he's going to help them because of this. He noticed a lot of people complain about this specific thing, and he grew his business while being an accountant by using reviews from Yelp and anywhere that they complain. So you can always learn something in the negative. So,
I love that. I
you
love
know,
that form of research.
yeah, right? He built a $2.3 million bill business just by looking after what was not going well in other cleaning companies, what the
Mm.
complaints were. He just looked into that and just keep growing that business while doing something else, while doing his full-time job. He never cleaned anywhere
Oh.
himself. He hired people. He was the middle guy. So
Mhm.
you learn wherever you're at. I used to love volunteering at the library though, because there I used to help kids who went to college, and reading the textbook was difficult, because
Mm.
not because they didn't know the work, that they did passion work. This specific guy was he wanted to be a builder, but understanding the textbooks were hard for him. And
Mhm.
he came to the library and we helped him. Like, I would read to him and then explain what a chapter means, and then
Uh-huh.
explain how he's going to do the work. And then I get to learn how he learned. So he
Yes,
could
because
learn.
if you have to explain it, you have to really understand it to be able to explain it. Yeah.
Right. So I learned that he didn't learn from just reading the text. I personally could read a book and just learn stuff. But so I was like, so he couldn't learn this way. He couldn't learn that way. So I would go home and just break everything down into bite-sized pieces.
Mhm.
I would even construct things for him because I'm very hands-on. I can't draw to save my life, but I'm hands-on. So if I imagine something in my head, I can literally construct it from paper, glue, and popsicle sticks and that sort of stuff. So whatever they're talking about, I would just like make it, actualize it. And he learned best like that. Like he
So
needed to,
he was a visual learner
yes, he needed to
and
see
an
it come to
auditory
life.
learner.
He really needed to see it come to life. So for the full year I volunteered there, he was doing so great in his class, and that made me feel happy. And I met so many people in the library, all the coordinators, all the workers, and it just built my community. It
Mhm.
built out what I was doing. I became friends with so many people, and that is part of finding your passion. Like, I always know I'm a people person. Like, this wasn't news to me, but me getting closer to people and really seeing that the way I sell is the way I sell. I'm never going to sell like anybody else. I really sell community wise. I
Mm.
am a chatterbox. People come to me and we have conversations, and I can sell somebody. They might come for a $20 thing and they leave with a $200 item or
Mhm.
more because of conversation. So I sell conversationally. I am not a big, here's a bag and you buy it. We'll probably be talking about the bag. You'll ask me, that's how I sell. And I had to recognize that. And that's how I sell myself on whatever I'm selling. And so you get
Mhm.
to pick up your skill. Sometimes you don't realize what it is. And for a long time, I didn't realize that's how I sell, you
Mm.
know. But community really helps you to see yourself in a different light. And also, people tell you.
Well, Mark has a comment. The bottom line for me is if your job is not your passion, and they all cannot be, then it should be paying for it. In other words, yes, know why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to me, Mark, what I hear you saying is that that job, the way I look at it, is an angel investor in my
Mm-hmm.
business.
Yes.
They're there to help finance
Mm-hmm.
my dream.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on my dream before, after, I go to work on this so-called job, but always keeping in mind that the goal is to establish my own business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And lots of people do that, you know. A lot of
Hmm.
people do that. Sometimes people get discouraged. And what people don't realize, some things takes years to get you where you need to get to. What I learned is it takes you longer when you lose focus.
Hmm.
Sometimes the time is not right yet, but when you lose focus, and I've proven it in so many different areas in my life, when I'm focusing, and I don't mean just sit down there humming the same thing over and over, but I mean focus in terms of this is what I want to get done. And I set it out, I went through all the processes, and now I give it up to God and I move on, I release it, and I move on doing other things. I just watch how it flows itself in, because now I'm not doubting what I just desire and work through, because
Hmm.
everything is in my mind first. So I know I want this. I know what has to happen. And I'm not looking for any outward clarification or justification to make sure it happens. I just go ahead and set it up and I got it done. I am not waiting around. If you say you want to volunteer, go volunteer. If you want to do some kind of community service, go. You don't have to commit to long stretch of times. And if it doesn't work out, you move on to the next one. Because if you want to have it someplace where this is how you give back, then that's what you do. You get in there and you do it. And this really showcase who you are as a person. This really truly make you feel good. When we waste a day, most people, and I'm not talking about when you're taking a rest or you're taking a break, but when you waste your day, at the
Hmm.
end of the day, some part of you feel really terrible. And if you don't pay attention, it happened day 2, 3, and 4. But when you have a good day, at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you feel so great about yourself.
Hmm.
You really feel great about yourself. And so many other great things happen along the way. So when you don't do that, you are doing a disservice to you. You are doing a disservice to yourself, right? Because you
Hmm.
are part of the community. You are part of the community. You're doing a disservice to yourself. I say get up and have the best day ever
Hmm.
in whatever you do. And if right now you're not serving the community or you're not using that to find your passion, you find your passion already, and now you're giving back to the community, do it. If you find that you don't have enough time to do it, then okay, say, in the next 3 months, I'm going to do it. Or this
Hmm.
year, I'm not doing that, but next year, I'm going to set up some time to get it done because now you know your passion. And this sometimes it's just a paid passion. What if you're in the community and you start realizing, I like this other thing that I don't want to be paid for, but I just love doing it. I just love doing it. So you find a place and you do it. When my mom first retired and she wasn't doing anything, I said to her, I said, you can't sit around. You gotta be involved. You gotta get to the resource center. You gotta do something. where you enjoy. My mom enjoyed cooking. And so she would go, she don't go, she'll go, she'll eventually they had a function. I said to her, this is how you get to work with what you like. I said, bake something and take it in and just share it out. And now she's known for both in church and the community center, anybody's birthday, any function that's happening. She produced. They even asked her, well, Corona happened, so she didn't do it, but she might be doing some volunteering, teaching younger kids, younger people in the resource center. So if they don't do this year, it will be next year. They're still kind of figuring out to organize it. But she's going to be happy because this is what she loves to do. And she's, people enjoy her food, enjoy her baking. She gets
and it energizes her.
Yes, when she comes in, she's like, Caren, girl, my stuff got eaten up. Everybody wanted the recipe. I'm even trying to encourage her to make a recipe book. So we'll see. She get two little recipes so far. So I do a couple of Fleming for her and stuff. So hopefully she'll do the recipe book.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a big book.
No.
Start with a little paperback, something that you can put on the printer.
Yes, and she can just distribute it to all those ladies who always want her recipe and say, here, ladies,
Mm-hmm. When you sign up for this class, you're going to get the recipe to such and such.
Exactly. And the church always want to give a class. Mm-hmm. They always want to do something new to keep the seniors out and coming. So
engaged, yes.
Yeah. So she's been doing so much stuff. Painting class. She's back into sewing class, technology class. She's learning to use her iPad.
You're going to have an IT person on board in the
girl.
Little tech diva. We're raising up some tech divas.
She's going to be 80 and knowing a lot of things, very soon. So don't dismiss the passion that is not going to pay you, but it's going to make your heart happy, going to make you joyous, and just want to be productive in your day for the sheer joy of it. That is, that is worth seeking out your community for.
Fantastic. We have one last comment here from Mark. He says, you may not be conscious of your passion, but it knows you. Your life is giving you clues all the time.
Yes.
What inspires you? What captures your attention? What topics light up your eyes? Is it trying to show itself and will continue to do so until you see it?
Spot on, Mark. Spot on.
We love Mark.
Yeah, couldn't say it better myself. Spot on. Spot on. It always shows up. I used to laugh at myself every time I get a job. Only because 3 months to 6 months in, I know I shouldn't be in the job. I would just literally be in the job and say, Caren, what are you doing here? Like, what? Honestly, why?
What are we really doing?
Like, why? I would answer, like, well, I'm tired of doing business. I mean, I did my share. Like, what else should I be doing?
There you go.
And next thing you know, I am back in business.
What can I tell you? What can I tell you?
I tell you, he knew I was supposed. God put me on this earth to be in business, and he started telling people. He started me off early, and not in the easiest place, the roughest, most. I always say the place that I started business, it felt like hell in the darkest of darkest.
Mm-hmm.
It felt so daunting. And I felt so bewildered. I just had never felt hardship, but I just had never felt it so encompassing and like there's nowhere to go. And in those feelings, in those times, in those, situation, he allowed me to birth it, being in business. Allow me to birth the idea that I can sell something and make something out of it. And although I went through all of that, and I noticed to my bone that I should be in business. That's why I say don't listen to people. When I came to Canada, everybody said to me, they said, Caren, this is a place where you get a job. You educate yourself, you get a job, and you work. You buy a house, you buy a car. But opening a business is not easy. So You might want to take that idea out of your head and get yourself a job.
Mm.
Do not do business. I can tell you, Terry, there's nobody that I'd met when I came to Canada was very encouraging or wanting to me to be in business. They literally sat me down and let me know this is not something I want to do. And because I was new and so nervous, I believed them. And so the first business I did start failed like miserably. I made all my Guyanese snack and I put them in 3 stores, and it started off really good. And then the people wouldn't sell it, or they'll sell it, I won't be paid because it was on commission base. And I started feeling what they were telling me made absolutely sense. So I just humbly crawl into a shell and just show up for
And
work.
conformed.
Yes, and conform and just show up to work. But God was never leaving his daughter alone. So he made sure that I show up to the place where I could reinvent myself. So I show up to work as a dishwasher. But those ladies and gentlemen were some of my biggest customers. I was washing dishes and selling.
Yeah. Yes. That's why Mark says it leaves clues all the time.
Yes. So a friend and I told her, I said, we never ever, every time, and any, I get itches here and there. Or people say to me, you got so much skills, you'll be fitted here, this company there. People send me stuff for jobs. Like I don't even have to apply.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody wanted me to take a job the other month. A really important job, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not trying to do all of that. That's not what I'm.
Nope. And they're explaining to me how the job. I know it's so much time, but I'm telling you, the lady you just need 4 to 6 hours, Karen. That's all she needs from you. Here's the salary. And it was a great salary. I'm not gonna lie to you. I look at the money. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And because she wanted to. She didn't want to get me out of it, so she wanted to answer right away. I said to her, give me 48 hours. No, I knew the answer, and I told her. But since she wanted the time, I give myself 40 hours, and I call her back. Matter of fact, I didn't call her back. Let me not lie. I just text her.
You got back to her.
I text her because if I had called her, she'd want to have the back and forth with me.
She was going to have the conversation. Yeah.
So I text her.
And I call that emotional bullying.
Yes.
Mark says people often confuse capabilities and skills with purpose. Not the same.
Not the same. Not the same. Not the same. Mm-hmm. Right on, Mark. Not the same. And with that,
not the same.
Not the same.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you guys for spending this time with us today. We want to acknowledge that we are excited about helping you run a profitable business that's fun to run and keeping the hassle out of your hustle. With that, we want to thank Coach Caren for her time. She's always so generous. Last week we talked about our health. Now we're talking about community service. All of these things surrounding our passions that may be coming from different directions. Mark says, thanks, Coach Caren. Thanks, Shirley. Thank you, Mark.
Yes.
You always have such profound comments.
He does.
We discussed a lot of your comments last night at the Genesis School of Business when we were talking about interest. I just want you to know we wanted people to know where they originated from. So thank you so much for coming in and joining in this conversation. You always add value. Coach, we do value your wisdom, your expertise, and your talents. And we want to say thank you, and we look forward to hearing more from you. So with that, guys, remember, it's okay to make money in your business. So go to the front of your own line. Have a great day. Bye-bye.